the ground, I'd say they all feel like they're being attacked, that nobody's out to actually help them. So you can't really blame them there. But farmers, I feel like they just feel like they're always being attacked, like there's nobody out to help them. Like.
It's great to be back with another Environment Edge podcast, and you're very welcome to the show.
Listen in to hear more from David Melody and Karen Delaney, two young farmers, in part 2.
I'm Cathal Summers.
And I'm Deirdre Glenn,
your Teagasc Sustainability Advisors. And we're back for another Environment Edge podcast, number 95. Here we go.
You're very, very aware of water quality and the dikes around your farm, and, keeping them clean, keeping nutrient out of them, and keeping your yard clean, as well.
When you're in irrigation, I suppose we have to have all our streams and our rivers fenced and our car roads tapered away, which we actually had a irrigation inspection this year, and that's the number one thing that they looked for, that everything was fenced, everything, that the car road was tapered away, there was no water lying around the yard, and that there was no effluent going from the silage pits or the maize pit into the waterways. Now, we were all grand because everything was tilted towards the tanks and all that. But I suppose there's some farms out there and they're not so cooperative. But when you like animals, and when you like your job, I suppose you want to do it well. So you wouldn't really have dirty yards when you're walking up and down through it. And especially when you'd have a spare few minutes any time of the day, you'd be cleaning them. So. Yeah, no, you would be very conscious of water quality, and especially when it's going through your farm.
How did the irrigation inspection work? Did they ring you, or what? How does it? Can you just explain to the listeners how it actually works, and what? Do you meet them, or what do you look at?
So now, obviously, my mother and father was dealing with them because I was working, but they basically rang on the Monday. They rang at 9:45 on Monday morning, said we'll be out on Tuesday, and the inspector was actually he was lovely, to be fair to him, and he walked the perimeter of our rented ground, and then he walked the perimeter of our home block as well, so just to make sure that everything was fenced and that there was no water trucks near the streams or the dikes as well. Now we were grand with that because we actually moved out our water trucks, thanks be to God, when that rule came in. So we weren't too bad that way, but he was mainly looking for walking all the perimeter of the fields to make sure that they were all fenced.
Did he do your slurry tanks as well? Did he
measure them? He measured every single one of them. So we were fine there, thank God. But it wasn't too bad. I thought he'd be I thought it would be an awful lot more strict. Let's just say if it was, did it have to be a double wire? Did a single wire do, or whatever like that? But it was grand that way. And then he got onto our advisor and has to get loads of dockets for. Did we get since we don't have a training shoe? He wanted to know, did we get our slurry spread with less, and then also that we were feeding the crew protein is 14% through April from September, so they were just making sure that we were feeding that. Now we were feeding more because we were suffered from drought, so we had to get a letter from the feed company to say that okay, these were in a disadvantaged area with the weather, so that's why they fed more. And then also checking the grass measures as well. On pasture base. So
I think that's important for people to hear. We've concentrated a little bit on derogation there because both you're in it, but it goes back to David, what you were saying. There is a lot of rules, regulations. If you're in derogation or out of it, there's a lot of things for people to know and remember. And it's really hard to know them, number one. But number two is then to manage your farm around them, particularly the way things work. Jobs come up, weather comes up. And it's interesting to hear your frustration because as advisors, we're talking about water quality all the time. We heard a lot. But Karen, from your point of view, you're on farms the whole time selling milking machines. You must hear a lot of frustration as well as regards not just water quality, but gaseous emissions, biodiversity. What's the feeling on the ground?
Well, an awful lot of farmers, like we were talking earlier, they were saying they're scared that derogation will go, because a lot of them would have to drop numbers. But feeling on the ground, I'd say that no, but they all feel like they're being attacked, that nobody's out to actually help them. So you can't really blame them there. But just in terms of the year that it was there, like there was barely anybody buying milk machines this year. Especially in Ireland, anyways. Because of the weather, so they had to spend their money elsewhere. Like so, yeah, no, it wasn't great this year. Now it has eased up a bit since milk prices risen since like October. Like the plough match really, like only for the weather probably would have had people in shock and all moods, but the weather kind of lifted everyone's mood for that. But yeah, no, it's not. Farmers, I feel like they just feel like they're always being attacked. Like there's nobody out to help them. Like.
And I think that's a fair point. We would hear that a lot. And David, you and I and Deirdre were at a meeting there a few weeks ago, and it just the feeling in the room that farmers felt they're being beaten down no matter what they do, they're wrong. Even when they're doing the right things, if something goes wrong, they're wrong, and they felt that everybody was blaming them for everything going wrong. And in actual fact, David, you stood up and said, look, I know that that's the situation, but we have to keep striving to fix our water quality. We can't give up on it. We have to keep going at it. And that was a really important point, that we don't duck our heads in the sand, that we do meet it to protect our industry.
The stats were there on the night, Cathal, weren't they? Like the quality in water has disimproved in recent years in Kilkenny, Waterford region. It's as simple as that. The facts are there, so farmers need to resolve. There's no point blaming the town councils and the lack of sewage capacity in towns and stuff like that. They can determine whether it's coming from agriculture or whether it's coming from urban population. What's the cause of pollution in waters, and farmers they're part of it. You know, the facts are there if anyone wants to question them. There's no point questioning anything else. We have to improve in our own yards and watch when we're spreading and how we're spreading it, and go from there. Our derogation is gone. Nobody in Europe who's going to make the call on our derogation is going to care whether it's coming from towns or farms. It's as simple as we need to improve as farms, as farmers, as custodians of the land even. We're not out there deliberately, the majority of us aren't out there deliberately polluting it. We're actually wanting to use what we have, especially with the way things have gone. We've been restricted on buying in inorganic nitrogen that it is made without any cost or anything. It's made slurry better, more value. We have to get better use out of it, however we use that.
It's vitally important. I know we focus a lot on derogation more, but there's 140,000 farmers in the country. Only, I don't know, 6,000 or 7,000 are in derogation, and another 5,000 are exporting to avoid it. So even if derogation went in the morning, it probably won't solve it. It won't solve the problem. We're still going to have issues across other parts of the country that are not intensive. So just to make that point, it's important that people don't think that getting rid of derogation is going to solve our water quality. We'll still have the same issues, even if we're stocked at 170. Everything's still going to be the same. The milking platform likely be stocked the same as well. So it's not going to completely solve everything. So that's important. I think you're hit the nail on the head, David. It's about managing our way out of this situation, not changing rules. That's not going to solve it. So management is the key.
And I think I just add to that. I said, like the meeting that we were at, David, Cathal and myself, it was about building relationships with the inspectorate, with the Department of Agriculture, the farming organisations and MACRA. And I was really, really glad to have MACRA there. A million years ago, I was in MACRA and I absolutely had a great time. It was super enjoyable and a great social connection for farmers, for young farmers, and nationally. Can you just tell us a little bit about your involvement and what you're getting up to in MACRA at the moment in Kilkenny or nationally?
I haven't done much myself personally, nationally yet. I'd rather give my time more local at the start and go from there. And it was also just to keep in. I just find if you go nationally, you spend a lot of time there and you wouldn't be in the same network of friends then locally because you've too much time or you're going traveling around the country. So yeah, I've been an officer on the county side of things for the last 8 years. What I've been YFDG, Young Farmers Discussion Group side of things, our development group, sports officer, and I'm currently treasurer at the moment. So it's just nice. It just keeps you in the loop of things going on in a county aspect, and that can be brought back to club level then. Very fortunate personally that there's always been competition, I find, for officer roles in Callanmacra, which is extremely unheard of across nationally, but it's there and it has suited me, so I can step aside from that and just stay on the county side of things because there wouldn't be as much interest there or competition, which is fine. But yeah, it just gives you a great experience as well over these roles, kind of on a more amateur level, if that makes sense. If you want to be more involved in whoever your local GA club or the IFA, or who knows, it might even go further in years to come. It gives you great experience and you'd have better control going into them and more confidence as well. And it also personally has developed me as a person socially and got me more out of an introverted and into an extroverted person, whether that's good or bad. Who knows? I think some
That's
people
great,
think it's
David.
bad. They're probably sick of listening. They're sick of listening to me at this stage, I think. But yeah, it's been brilliant. Like,
You mentioned you're the sporting officer. Have you reminded Kilkenny how to win All Ireland finals since you've been in there?
Dear, oh dear,
I
oh
think it's
dear.
going the other way, Carl. I think she's like, you're glad this is on Zoom, I'd say. Karen is definitely boiling over this comment anyway.
He's from Clare.
We've
You're
only
kind
brought the
of,
glory back.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Karen, just close your ears. I think, the other thing about Mockery is it's a really large organization full of really intelligent, driven, capable young people who can drive policy in the future as well and be involved in that whole conversation. And I think that's massively important as well. Wouldn't you think so, Karen?
Just even if you weren't involved or if you weren't an officer at all, like just even the things that they have to offer. Like I remember the 2 years ago we went to the Highland Show with our Mocker club over in Edinburgh, and it was one of the best weekends of my life. And like sure, Callan Mocker, we're going to where are we going? We're going to Prague in January. Like, so like you do get to even see loads of places, as well as take part in things like the public speaking and the debating was on there for the last couple of weeks. And even just like there's one of the competitions and it's impromptu debating, and it's probably one of my, or sorry, impromptu public speaking, and you're literally given a topic, you pull up the topic out of the hat, and you have to talk about it for 2 minutes or 1 minute and 30 seconds. I don't know what it is, but even just that like it gives you the confidence to even to talk about something that you haven't prepared. Like I love that side of things, and just even the sport alone. But like we'll come back to what you were saying in terms of what you can progress on further. Like sure, you see like even loads of people in Mocker, they do go on to like bigger roles in clubs and in communities and all like that. Like sure, wasn't there a couple of Mocker presidents that went on to be IFA presidents then? So you would see that a good bit. Like, so Mocker is great at developing like your networking and your social skills, but it's also great developing your
developing as a
confidence as
person.
well.
I think it's fantastic. Yeah.
I heard this comment from someone I met there recently. I thought it was very interesting, and they were never in Mocra, and now they're they're mid-50s and they're disappointed they didn't, but they've been involved on a political aspect, even in the Shannon, and they just said you'd know people that went up through Mocra and got involved with impromptu debating or public speaking or the likes. They're far superior when they're speaking in public in comparison to people that haven't had that experience. And that was for me a big eye opener. That was great to hear. Like, yes, you have your sport, you have your football, your Gaelic football, your hurling, your volleyball, the list goes on. But there's that academic side, which I think it's phenomenal. Like it really gives you a good head start there. If you want to go forward into lobbying or anything of the likes, it's extremely good what it can develop for you. But also the experience of traveling as well. Like we've been to Budapest, Prague, Frankfurt, you name it. Like, there's you get to go, some of the guys actually in the club got to go to Canada there recently, into Switzerland through Mocra. Like, that's just the opportunities there, if you want them, are phenomenal.
That's the power, isn't it, of Mocker, that you can go into a small parish that no one, join up, and then you have lots of friends instantly.
That's exactly it. And a great thing there to highlight is they're not all from farming background as well, which is brilliant. So it allows you to get away from farming and talk about their jobs. And it also helps because you you're the only one with a problem, but you're not really. Like teachers have their issues, whether it's kids or parents or just the school or personal life. Like any nurse, and God, we won't go there. I have some admiration for them after joining Macra. They've 10 times the work that farmers have, and that's personally speaking, and they don't get paid half enough for it.
But even just one thing on the like there's different competitions in Mocha. Like they're kind of like personality competitions, if you want to call them. So like there's like a Mr. Personality, which the Kenny Mocha run, and like they honestly are the best like so. There's one person goes on to represent the whole county, and the weekends that they are just the best crack ever. Like there's a new competition there this year, Queen of the Castle, and like our friend Miriam was on it, and she got through to it. And like I remember when I started Mocha first, like we didn't like, we were both kind of quiet and everything, and then just even see her go on and like go onto a big stage, talk about herself, and she made friends from all over the country, which she meets up with regularly now. Like Mocha is even great for that aspect.
I tell you, we have to do a podcast on Queen of the Castle and Mr. Personality at some stage. That sounds like a cracker.
That could be brilliant. Yeah, the former winners, get them on it, and our part of the community. Be a super plug for them as well, because they don't get the recognition they deserve. They're brilliant. Like as Karen said, it brings people from all around Ireland together to meet up, make new friends, or meet old friends that you mightn't have seen for a couple of years. And it gives you an excuse as well for the likes of me and Karen to get away from the farms for a weekend and book it off and just let the hair down and go mad for the weekend.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it as well. We're kind of have to run out of time now, so I'm going to just ask both of you, it's lovely to finish the way we finished because it's so positive, and Mocha has obviously been so impactful for both of you. But we did talk about some kind of tough things there in the last hour. So can you give me one thing that you're looking forward to into 2025 in farming? Because it's great to see two young people. We know farming has the age profile is not great in it. So two young people obviously love farming. What are you looking forward to in 2025? Maybe start with you, Karen.
I just look forward to calving, because I just know I just look forward to my favorite cows calving and just see what they produce. And like, you know, especially when you get your maiden heifers when they calve, and you see, like, I'm really looking forward to these heifers, replacement heifers calving. To be honest, that's probably what I'm looking forward to, because we just used a different company for AI that year, and I just want to see how how they'll milk at the parlour, to be honest.
Brilliant. And you, David?
Very similar to Karen. I have the same this time every year. I'm optimistic for a good spring weather-wise. And the same, like, we were going to be fully dry now Thursday coming, which I can't wait for, just not to turn on the parlour for roughly about 5 weeks. But it builds my energy and charisma for calving to start. Can't wait for the nights out now over the next month for Christmas and into New Year's, meeting up with the lads inside of Mocha and outside of it, get back home to Clare for a bit, see the family, recharge. Once the new year comes, then, as Karen said there, we're heading away to Prague for a weekend. Once that's over, then, honest to God, it's just, I can't wait for calving. Like, it's just getting knee deep into it and going hell for leather there for 6 to 10 weeks and just enjoying it, and looking forward then to breeding and just into the summer then, once things settle down then.
Brilliant to hear that you're so positive, especially coming 2025, and I'd agree with you. You always love calving as well. You'd never get fed up with it. But this has been a really interesting, enjoyable podcast for me and Deirdre, and just want to thank you both, because I know you're flat out at the moment. Dave, you're drying off cows this morning, and Karen, you're up parked beside the petrol station trying to pull in for it. So thank you so much for joining us, and I really enjoyed it. Thanks a million.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks very much.
So there you have it. Tune in next time to hear more interesting chats and discussion.
Myself and Deirdre will be back in 2 weeks' time, but do give us a review on Apple and Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for listening to the Environment Edge podcast.